Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Pandemic Hot Zone North America. What do you say about a game like this? You know, Ticket to Ride was making some money off smaller versions, so why not get Pandemic in the game? That's really how this went down, right? So what do we get? We get a little bit Pandemic, but a little bit smaller. Yeah, a little smaller board, a little less cubes, a little less this, a little less that, a little less price. Yeah, a little less price. Maybe you're at Target, you won't spend $40 on a board game you don't know, but I'll throw down $20, $25 on this little Hot Zone game, right? And that's what you're going to get here. You're going to get Pandemic, smaller. Remember in the 80s when there were travel games? Like you had Chess and Trust Travel and Clue Travel, and it had a little magnets on the games. I feel like these are travel versions, right? Travel versions of the main game. You want to play Pandemic 7 hour? You want to play in 15, 20, 25 minutes? This is for you. It works okay. Pandemic was a game that, you know, it's legacied out and it's been expansioned out, and you got this version and that version. Then we got the smaller version. Sure, why not? Totally forgettable. I don't know why you just wouldn't play the regular one. It's got a different map. You know, you're just in North America. I suppose that's attractive. The components are good. It's okay. Here's the question. Do you want a smaller Pandemic? That's it. Okay. For me, maybe it's a keeper for the kids. We can have a little version around. We can get through quicker. You know, bedtime's coming up. Let's throw this down. It fits the bill. Here's Pandemic Hot Zone North America. This is hot off the presses. It's a basic starter co-op. You can see the box here is a little hard to get open. Holy smoke. What is going on? You can have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get a small Pandemic board. So this is going to have just North America on it and some of South America, I guess North America. And you're going to have Havana and stuff down here. A place for your viruses and the cards that will go on there. You're going to have your translucent cubes that you'll have. Some really nice markers here. They're like this resin almost, or really hard plastic of the cures that you'll be doing. And you have just regular pawns. You're going to have very small cards in this one. You're going to have an infection deck. And then your player actions, very, very small. These are very, very tiny. Everything in this box is very portable. You're going to have 4 players that you can beat, each with unique powers. If you played Pandemic, you've seen these before. Components are really good for such a small, cheap game. I didn't have any real issues with them at all. Here's a rule book. You can see a picture of the components on the front. It's got a QR code in case you want to learn how to play that way. Setup over here, all with pictures, very good. New concepts for new players. This is a mass market game. And a player turn. You have an overview, and then it's going to break it down into what you can do. If you played Pandemic before, you're not going to have any problems with this at all. Losing and winning will be laid out. The crisis cards, if you want to have that into your deck, it's a variant you can play with. I'll go over that in a game of play. And just credits and little differences from Pandemic on the back. So if you played Pandemic, here's a list of things that are a little bit different. So first thing you're going to do is get everybody a character and a color. Each one will do something different. The dispatcher can move any pawn directly to any other pawn city. The medic can remove the cubes of one color when you go to a location, or if it's been cured, you can get rid of all of them. You have the researcher, give a city card from your hand to another player. It doesn't have to match the city. And then you have the generalist, who gives you 5 actions. So everybody will take one of these. And if you're playing with less than 4 players, and the remainders will sit out. Each player will get 2 of these action cards. And then you'll take the rest of the action cards and you'll put them in thirds. And Epidemic will go in one stack of each of the 3. Then you shuffle them up and put them on top of each other. Very easy to do. Then to set up, you're going to flip over 2 cards. So in this case, Boston. And it will get 3 blue cubes that match the color. And you're going to do this for each of these. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So you're going to do 3, 2s, and then 1s. Okay, now the game is set up. What you're going to be able to do on your turn is you're going to do, it says right here, draw 4 actions, draw 2 player cards, draw an infection card. And your hand size is 6 at any time. So the possible actions you have will be here. So you can, let's start on this side. I can always move to a connected city. So if it's adjacent, I can move there. I can discard a city card and move directly to that. Charter flight, discard a city card matching my own area. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's say I'm the white player. I could move directly to Dallas if I so chose, and that's one of my 4 actions. I could remove one of these cubes for another action. And let's say I'm the generalist. So I'm going to have 5 actions, although normally you would have 4. If If I wanted to go to Los Angeles, I couldn't move there. It's not adjacent. I could discard this card because it says Los Angeles on it, and I could move to that location. Let's say that's another action. Let's say I had this card still in my hand, and I'm in Los Angeles. If I'm in Los Angeles, I can give up the Los Angeles card, discard it, and I can move to anywhere on the board. Let's say I want to go up to Calgary. So that's what you're trying to do on a turn, and those are your 4 possible actions. So what you're trying to do is get 4 of a color. And if you are in Atlanta, if you look right here, there's a research center. If I'm in Atlanta and I have 4 of a color, then I'm able to cure. See right here, it says 4 cards. Cure one of these, I would put this out on the board. If I'm able to cure all 3 of these, giving up 4 of that color in Atlanta, then you will be able to win the game. So the game is going to be pretty simple as you're going through doing those actions. At the end of your turn, you will draw 2 of these cards, and you will be able to keep this card, obviously. And sometimes you'll get these little action cards that do special things. It says return any 2 cubes from the board to the supply. But if you get an Epidemic card, this is what you kind of want to watch out for. This is your nemesis in the game. What you'll do is you'll increase the infection over here. And what this says is at the end of every turn, you're going to draw 2 cards. If it gets up to here, it'll be 3 cards. If it gets to the final one, it'll be 4 cards. And then, if you got the Epidemic, you'll take the bottom card of the deck. In this case, it's New Orleans. And I will take 3 of the cubes and stick them on New Orleans. Then you take all the cards in the discard pile, and you shuffle them up real good. Clean this one and try to jump out of the way. And you put that back on top of the deck. So this means everything that's been hit is going to be hit again. And because my infection rate is 2, I will draw 2 cards. So Boston's going to get another one. But see, Boston already has 3. 3 is the max a city can hold. So that means every city adjacent to Boston with these lines will get another cube, and the infection rate will go down. Now, if you bust, every time you bust, this moves down. If it gets to the skull and bones, you lose the game. And then you have to do another card. So in this case, it's Minneapolis. And that would be its 3rd cube, so it's fine. Now, when you're busting, it's possible. There's a chain reaction. These things just kind of bust everywhere. And every time a city busts, this thing will continue to move on to your death. That's how you play the game. You want to cure 3 of these before you bust, or before this deck runs out of cards. There's another way to lose. And that's how you play. So a little bit different than regular Pandemic. And they have a list of things here. So there are only 3 diseases instead of 4. During the setup, number of cards drawn is different. Discover or cure, you need 4 cards instead of 5. There's only 1 research station. It's in Atlanta. There are 3 epidemic cards instead of all of them. Diseases can never be eradicated in this game. The researcher and dispatcher effects are slightly altered, and the crisis cards can be added. So let's talk about these. So these are cards that you can add to the deck to make it a little bit harder. And they recommend, 1, 2, 3, however you want to put into the deck. But these will do nasty things for you. This is a harder difficulty level. So let me go over a couple with you. Draw the bottom card from the infection deck. Return that infection card in 3 matching cubes to the box. Resolve the draw infection card step twice this turn. The 1 quiet night event is played. Resolve it just once. Choose 1 pawn. Check the color of their city. Place 1 cube on that color on each connected city. Wow. Players cannot do direct flight or charter flight actions until the next crisis card comes out. Draw the bottom card from the index deck. Place 3 matching cubes on that card and discard this. So these are things that can really mess you up as you're playing. And like I said, make things a little bit more difficult. I don't recommend starting with these, but after you kind of get the handle of this, you might want to add those in. So that's a quick overview of how you play Pandemic North America. If you played regular Pandemic or any other versions, this will be very, very similar to you. It just plays a little bit quicker. Who should buy this game? I mean, you don't want to spend full price on Pandemic. Is that the market for this? You want something a little bit quicker. You want something a little bit smaller. You want that travel experience you can have with Pandemic, I guess. Have you ever played Pandemic and thought it was too long? You liked it, but a little bit too long. This is for you. I think the rest of the world is okay without this one. It's fine. It works just like intended. But do you need it? It's up to you. I think I'm going to keep it to play with the kids a little bit. Shorter version. It's all right. This could be something to be purged down the line. This feels more like a cash grab than something you're like, wow, really needed this. Ticket to Ride's been doing it, so why not Pandemic, right? A keeper for a while, but it's kind of borderline, to be honest.